repeated through all the questions. I think it's down to kind of awareness and behavioural changes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think, although it's merited in terms of, you know, what's proposed, you know, practical ways, legally, but trying to enforce these things is another issue. And I think the key point is behavioural changes that we need to work on. 1.5 metres, you know, it's a good concept. It's a good idea. It hasn't passed through the Oireachtas, I think through the RSA and stuff like that. So I think it's a worthy addition, but I think it's behavioural change. I'm going to be repeating a lot of this stuff anyway. It's intertwined. Yeah.
So you kind of answered the second question. We were just wondering, have you ever cycled, and if so, regularly, you know, and what you kind of found about the conditions of the road? But as you said, you know, it's probably more being aware and just being.
Well, I think there is practical things we can do as a council. I suppose, like from a local point of view, we're responsible for the local roads, the footpaths, and so on and so forth. So it's important that we put resources in a budget time. There's an estimate time that we put, you know, additional funding forward, which can be matched by the department to improve our network and things like that. We're lucky enough that we won the Smarter Travel initiative approximately 2014. Now it's then it could be 2013. So that was a national competition that we won. You could see the fruition of that in the Shannon Fields and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Ask me that point again, then I'll start waffling now, so you have to keep it.
Oh yeah, do you want to ask the next one?
Yeah, so basically cities such as Amsterdam have made more developments in recent years, and they have like something like 760 kilometres of cycling paths.
Okay.
And the question was, why do you think we're falling behind other European cities?
Okay, you gave a couple of examples there in terms of like Amsterdam, and indeed like that is the case, but I think if you go back historically, it's not something that's gone on for hundreds of years or anything like that. I believe after the Second World War, there was issues with oil and the price of oil, and they were forced to their bikes. So it's a recent phenomenon, approximately 60 years. So from the point of view, this is something that has developed from
history.
To adapt from history. So I think from an Irish context, we're behind in that front, and there's ways and means of improving situations, and you're going to be coming on to the next question, to incentivise, I suppose, people to actually to cycle to work. And I'll probably reinforce this point, but like, why would you cycle to work? We're in Limerick. It's thundering rain. You get in, like, there's no facilities to shower, to change, and so on and so forth. So that's probably answering one of your next questions. There needs to be more showering facilities. For example, here, and when you say it in a local setting, like you've over 1,000 staff in Limerick City and County Council spread throughout, you could be talking 1,200. So what's the incentive for them to cycle into work? There is none. It's probably, unlike Dublin, I'm going to stay focused, but the key thing is the hanging gardens. I don't want to confuse, so if you need any further clarification, the 2030 project is a strategic project that is headed up by a council, private company that's 100% wholly owned. There's 7 strategic sites. One of the big flagships is in Henry Street across the road, the Hanging Gardens, an office space. They have designed into their building shower facilities, so they're, but I suppose the issue and the point you're raising is an excellent point. And it's true that like that's the role of a councillor and a public representative. It's through the public, and the ideas come as much from yourselves as a fella 70 years of age that's been, or you know more than most. It's the younger guys coming up. Technology is moving on, and you're the future. And this topic today is very, very good. So I think what I can do, I'll start skipping on to different bits and pieces. What I can do is it's something that I can take forward. As chairman of the Travel and Transportation Committee, we can get, we can raise there's a platform there to maybe put some stuff in and raise awareness, put in a motion or send in questions and stuff like that. So there is mechanisms, and there's a policy mechanism in the council, but we'll be trying to break that down again, of course. So keep it kind of short enough. Yeah.
So do you know that Dublin are way ahead of us in terms of cycling infrastructure and safety as ever cycle lanes? What can be done to improve the cycling awareness to the cycle?
Basically, in a nutshell, we have to look at Dublin in the context of, approximately, now I don't have any figures here or anything, this is off the cuff stuff. You're talking 50% of the working population are in Dublin. People getting to work and college and so on and so forth. Like the cost of driving, and you see now, for example, with the insurance situation with students, you need to be accompanied and all that kind of stuff. Like with new legislation, you can't be like there was all, getting insured, and it's just impossible. So young people are forced, and there's a huge student population in Dublin. You have Trinity, UCD, the list goes on, DCU. So from the point of view, it's a different context to Limerick, but it's one that's just shows you that it just demonstrates how effective bikes can be. It's cheap. You can get in there a lot quicker. Like it's highly congested, as you know, because of the the high population and the high student population in Dublin, and like people are forced onto their bikes really, and like that's the point. Do you want to keep going? If there's any further clarification now as well from answering the question, don't be shy to throw in another caveat there.
Where do you think we can improve cycling and make it safer for people in cycling in our area or to the people in cities of Dublin?
It's the same thing, but I think if we can, it's all about kind of behavioural change, and like the simple thing we mentioned at the start of the interview, getting employers to come on board, bigger employers like the likes of government bodies, local authorities, revenue, high employers.
I was out in a multinational company experience last week, and they had the showers, and I was kind of surprised to see it. It was the first time I see it anyway. But it is a good idea.
It's huge, and you know what it does as well, like, and you probably see it. People not alone that, but you could have a kind of a walking club or a jogging club at lunchtime. People are cramped in the office, and most of the time it's a lot of it's administration and it's painstaking. So it gives, from a health perspective, if you could get shower facilities in there, you'd increase the whole the whole behaviour of create awareness. So it seems like a simple thing, but if that could be rolled out now, we see it in the multinational, but like in the Limerick City and County Council, this is the third biggest local authority in the country, because it's amalgamated outside of Dublin obviously, but because we're amalgamated, we're the biggest local authority. We're a county council and a city council combined. We've probably I think we're the third, you can quote me in it, probably the third highest budget, including some of the shared services that we have. We have a huge employment, so we haven't even embraced that yet ourselves. So it's not like by you coming in here today, this is something that you're bringing to the table. So one of the things would be if we could incorporate it into our plans here from a corporate level, that we provide incentives for. Like you think of the population, if there was, there's a lot of outdoor staff and whatever, but you could be talking 12 or 1400 of local authority staff, spin-offs, coffee, people that actually work on, they could work in the canteen, or there's bigger canteens outside or whatever. And like if you can incentivise it with showers in different buildings, and part of a lot of the buildings are going to be redeveloped, and as you can see the windows here, this building was opened in 91, so there is refurb plans, so there is opportunity to build them into the plans. To get shower facilities in there, male and female obviously, but absolutely, and getting that behavioural change through small subtle changes, as you said, that you saw in the multinational setting.
Obviously now we see a lot in the news, like the relationship between the motorists and the cyclists can be very tense, like especially in today's news. Do you believe that there should be greater implications for motorists who maybe don't respect cyclists in the way they should?
I think it works both ways, to be honest with you. I think it's great, like you see the infrastructure, you see even the way the city is designed, like we're a Georgian city, there was horse and carts flying up and down there, so the city isn't built for that infrastructure. Like there's a lot of plans that in theory would be great to implement in terms of widening streets and stuff like that, but then you've NIMBY, not in my backyard, you've you've businesses, you've heritage groups, you've concept, like there's so many variables. It seems, you know, straightforward solutions there, you know, but it's a multifaceted situation, and I'd put a caveat into that, like there's pedestrians, you know, those vulnerable users, there's pedestrians, you know, so I think it needs to be a three-way street, pedestrians, cyclists and motorists, and they need to, like, it's about behavioural change and awareness, but they need to equally respect each other, and I think campaigns can happen, like, you know, and the PR kind of stuff, you know, through the radio is good, there's a number of different channels, but it's slow, it's incremental. Like, so I live in Carberry, as you know, but like one of the plans there before was to kind of create a new bus lane, and basically if you come down over the railway bridge past the Dagos, on the left you see all the trees there, Silent View Terrace in Carberry, was to wipe that out, so take down all the trees and create another lane. So then the implications then, if you were living in you know, there'd be buses flying past your house with greenery, just it becomes more kind of so clinical in nature, like, you know. Any other questions?
Obviously it's 17 for drivers, the law in Ireland to drive. Do you think maybe there should be an age brought in for cyclists? Maybe we see a lot of, maybe even today, like in Limerick, you see people under 10 cycling on their own around the streets. Like, do you think maybe there should be a law with a certain age limit or an age restriction?
In terms of driving around your estates, I was on a bike since I was about 5 or 6. I was climbing trees. I think if anything we need to do more of that, because fellas are inside, they're playing Xbox, that fucking thing, you call it, Fortnite, and fucking, like, it's the ruination of you know, like when I was young, like you were climbing trees, you were getting conkers. I'm not an old man or anything, like, you know, it wasn't that long ago. Like, and I had the Nintendo, like, you know, Super Mario, so I was a treat, like, you know, but like there was no, like, you know, get my friend and all day and getting pale in the face from it. So I think we need to kind of, so we can be over kind of, I think we need to allow people to fucking
get out there.
To get to the, I don't mean like get out and get about, and you know, obviously there needs to be more awareness, but not to the detriment of kind of, like, we can get over the OCD kind of over the top. People can't go out, and even young people kind of, you know, being young people walking up in groups, when people are getting frightened out of that, we need to kind of realise that, like, we all did that. You know, we all cycled, like, we all X, Y and Z, you know, so that's the point there, like, you know.
Next, obviously we've seen the introduction of the coke bikes into the city, where people can, you know, tap and go off cycling in the city. Do you think if there's more bike racks and where people around the city can leave their bikes and go off and do what they want, do you think that it would encourage more people to cycle in the city?
I definitely think it would. Like, there's an issue there, something I've been campaigning on in Carberry. So even like the way the whole thing is now, Carberry split in two, so it's clear. Like, there should be one out there in Tesco, so people come in from Westbury and cycle into whatever. Now, I'd include West, even though I'm in City Park from the Irish States as far as, you know, it's the same thing, like, you know. So there should be a couple of bike racks in Carberry, in around the shopping centre or whatever, and you could have one up around the Driscolls, you know, or even in the car park. Like out in Carnarvon, out in the Innish Road, there's a big area out there in Woodies. So there's a disused bike area. If you've ever passed through, you'll see a lot of racks. That's something I've been raising, but like a lot of it's down to government policy, and like the only way to get that funded was through Coca-Cola. As ironic, a drinks company that's doing, I drink Coke, like I'm not kind of a, you know, you're promoting kind of thinking about diabetes and all that. It's ironic that the funding is coming from a Coke company. You know, like we can't even prioritise that. Like I've changed transportation, as you know, for over 3 years, and like the priorities at a national level needs to be more emphasis in ideas like that. But like a lot of the time it's around making a profit, and like instead of like the public good, so they're looking to make gains as opposed to, like, they should be taking a loss. It's like a park. So you do the park up, it's for the greater good, you know, and like the buses are probably at a loss, but it's at the greater good for elderly people. Similarly, you know, those schemes, like, who cares if they don't make a profit, but they're serving the public, and there's a greater good, and that's why you pay taxes to kind of offset and have these. And I think it's, you know, further afield, Castle Try, whatever, I think absolutely they need to be rolled out, but a lot of the time it boils back to money and profits. And is it, is it cost neutral or whatever, so we need to be more inventive, and it's like the likes of yourselves coming up that are going to help that situation,
In counties such as Wexford, they recently introduced signs that raise awareness for 1.5 metre gap between cars and the cyclists. Do you think that'd be reasonable or possible to bring in Limerick in busy areas?
I think the thing about it is signage is good, and it's like putting signs around their school or whatever. It raises awareness, but I think it's down to the individuals themselves as well in terms of a behavioural change. Sometimes it's a balancing act. There is it's trial and error. For example, I'll give you an example. I was slightly off the point, but a similar thing. I was over canvassing recently over in Ashbrook. I met a girl at the door, and she said, "Listen, my big issue is the dog poop around her." And I said, "Listen, we've been raising awareness and so on and so forth." And she turned around and said, "What we do in Dublin is, there's wardens allocated, so they'll go up to you, they'll see you with Penny or dog or whatever, and they'll say, where's your bag? And if you don't have the bag, they'll take the number and bang, you're hit with a 40 or 50 euro fine." But unfortunately in Limerick it's down to a resource issue, and even outside of Dublin, you've very little representation to get funds down, and a willingness then, you could be competing for the same funds for the restoration of a bridge in Patrick's Well, or a lot of it comes out from a similar pot. So to implement some of these different situations, they'll throw it's a resource issue, but in my opinion they need to find resources. But to come back to your point, in principle it's good, but I think the behavioural thing needs to change. Things like having radio, a government buy-in and a policy, and instead of having spin doctors around there, why not have something to focus on cycling and put resources into that instead of new glossy plans. Put there's millions spent in that area, but if resources could be used to something like that, and put a really good campaign, a meaningful campaign, even with headed up with student bodies like yourselves. Anything else?
A couple of weeks ago, the RT produced a documentary about Now You See Me.
Yeah.
And it kind of showed the ignorance and frustration that drivers have with cyclists. Do you think there's anything that local councillors or local people could do to reduce the amount of ignorance that road users show to cyclists? Or
see, a lot of the time, and as I mentioned earlier in the interview, the ignorance is on the part of both. It's both parties. Some guy goes round on a bike, and he thinks that this is the new fad, so he's thinking of the 1.5 thing that hasn't been implemented, that isn't legal, and he could get aggressive as well. And as you said, you came back, some of the younger fellas that are on the main roads could be quite young, and they're weaving in front of, weaving of traffic and stuff like that. So there probably needs to be greater kind of focus and resources put into the particular area. But as I said, it's a resource issue. Like Limerick, and you see a lot of the situation is, it's constantly raining now. I know we've had a couple of good months, so unlike, and I know I mentioned some points about the European situation, but a lot of people, they don't want to go out cycling because of some of the stuff that I kind of mentioned previously.
yeah, in especially like Eindhoven, you see that workers are rewarded with loads of different bonuses if they're cycling to work by their company, and think local businesses around here, would you say could be implemented around here to give bonuses to people who cycle?
I think the key thing is, I think the lads hit the nugget, just because it's just reinforcing the point, getting shower facilities, incentivising, corporations or public bodies to kind of, as part of their kind of mission statement or part of their plans to actually incorporate showers for cyclists. As I said, it's a multifaceted area, because if you ever heard of trees of crowds, you've pedestrians, cyclists, so everybody's right and nobody's wrong. So then you get egos on the road, and some fella, he's all the gear and he's shiny gear, and he's, and there's a class thing as well on the thing. It's a new fad of people on bikes, and they're kind of to have all the rules off, and then the guy going to work and it's raining, it could be a small bit, so yeah, it's a multifaceted area.
And lastly, in Ireland, like if you're cycling through cities or places like that, considered roads, they're highly financed roads, also known as defensive cycling. Think there's any other way to improve the relationship between cyclists and motorists to make it safer for the cyclists using roads?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it's down to resources and a willingness at government level to kind of put campaigns in place and give local authorities funding to support that. So I suppose it comes from campaigns like yourselves and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's down to a willingness from government to put resources in, to put money. It boils down to money, like like as we mentioned previously, on the outskirts with out the Ennis Road and having additional bike racks and just having campaigns or television campaigns. It all costs money, and like there needs to be additional resources kind of put into that,
And just I suppose a big one is what procedures would you say, I suppose putting this kind of stuff into a lobbying report, what kind of any advice if you're putting into a report?
I think basically in a nutshell, like one of the main lobbying report is you could put like the stuff that was there, you could put it into either a question from a local perspective, so that's where I'd be kind of, that'd be my main area. And you could actually put, as part of your project, we could formalise that and put in actual questions to the council and maybe a motion around, that the council would adopt a kind of a policy of increasing showering facilities into the future. That's something that could be a legacy from yourselves into the future. If that was, if that's agreed, if that's proposed and seconded at local level, you could be having an impact there of Limerick City and County Council, and you could start this spark that could, create a healthier work environment and incentivise. And that's something at the local level. You'd be responsible for this group here, for just coming in and eating me. So that would be my advice on that,
And I suppose what would be the best way to get maybe media attention to pay for the social media?
The best way to do it is there'll be if you got a motion in or whatever into the council. The next one is May 8th, so if you could link with your teacher, I could script it. You could come in on the 8th, plus it give you a bit of time off work. I'll be chairing the meeting, and I don't mean that, no, don't quote that. But basically, you'll be inside, and there will be media there. So this would be a nice, this would be a nice caveat. Maybe if you focused on, that whole improving, incentivising cycling, and put a motion into that effect that Limerick City and County Council, as part of their campaign, you'd like to see them adopt a policy that build it into their future plans to have shower facilities for workers, to incentivise workers. So when you're saying that for Limerick City and County Council, you're hitting 1,500 people approximately. And then they leave to go into different parts of the public sector, more come in. It's a big hit, In the city, there's only 108,000 in the whole city metropolitan area, so you're hitting over 1% there, and if it goes in terms of workforce, which don't go roughly about 3% to 4% of the workforce. So